I feel confident now that I can actually implement one that has some savvy takeout. Because before I was, I'm an engineer and not a businessman per se, although I have a lot of business background. Nevertheless, it's not that's not important. So my biggest takeout would be I know how to, I feel confident doing a business plan and starting my own business. I feel very passionate. I'm actually thinking about it almost every day. Who am I going to approach? The funding, which was a big no-no for me. Now I see that it's not something so complicated.
Good evening, everyone. We are lens toward the sun, and solar energy is our business. Now, what you just saw is what's known as a dual-axis solar farm. And what that is, it's a big field of solar panels that move in every direction in order to absorb the sun's energy and convert it into clean electricity. Now, at this point, solar energy only makes up 1.3% of the total United States energy output. In an effort to get with the times and adopt cleaner energy solutions, the United States Department of Energy has set the goal of raising that number to 8% by 2020. And we have just the product to help them do that. Allow me to introduce you to ERXIQ2, also known as ERXIC, which is nerd for the Recipe for Intelligent Energy. Now, what ERXIC is, it's a software. It's a software embedded with an algorithm that installs directly into the brain of these solar panels, allowing them to optimize their output and raise their output by 40%. And that additional 40% translates to more electricity absorbed and generated, more homes powered, and more revenue. You might be wondering, how does it work? The name of the game is power absorption. Now, in order for the most power to be absorbed, there's an optimal angle that the panel needs to be in relative to the sun. Our algorithm, ERXIC, knows that angle, and it knows exactly how much power should be generated at that angle. Now, if it senses that the amount of power coming in is not optimal, it sends a signal to the motor, telling the motor exactly how many degrees to tilt the panel to absorb the most energy. That's where that additional 40% comes from, and it's essentially tracking the sun. Now you might be wondering, is there even a market for this? Oh yeah. Now, this is the general breakdown of our market. It's broken down into 3 segments: residential, non-residential, and utility. Residential, that's what you'll see on top of a home. Non-residential, that's a commercial building. So on top of like an IKEA or a Walmart or a small commercial office building. And utility, which is the segment we'll be focusing on, that's much like the big field that you saw at the beginning of the video. And that provides energy to a town or a city. And you'll see that our segment alone has quadrupled in the last 2 years. And now amasses over 50% of the market. And right now there's about 14,000 megawatts of solar capacity in the United States. But there's another 26,000 under development as we speak to be completed by 2017. So the market's going to triple in size within the next few years. Now to dive further into the utility segment of the market, we'll only be focusing on the solar photovoltaic dual-axis market here in North America initially. And that market is represented by that green box there. And it totals $5.8 billion. And since we're a software and a vertically integrated industry, you'll see our value spans across all aspects of the value chain, between products and services, allowing us to really get in from the beginning and partner with the big guys. So yeah, there is a market for this. Now, how are we different? Like I said, the name of the game is power absorption. And with our technology, there's a certain degree of the absorbed power that gets lost in translation. We're only losing 1% of that power, whereas the next best competitor is losing 3%. And 2% might sound like a small percentage, but when you're talking about the volume we're talking about, that translates to millions of dollars in forfeited revenue. Another plus with us is we're iterative adaptive, or the algorithm is iterative adaptive, meaning that it's continuously calculating, continuously trying to find the best solution. Our algorithm does it 46 times per second. The next best competitor is only calculating 35 times per second. It's not as smart. And then another plus with us, we own our patent 100%, not sharing with anybody. Anybody wondering, how are we going to get it to the market? NASA and the Department of Defense has what they call technology readiness levels that span from 1 to 9. Right now we're at level 4. In order to be approved for full commercialization and get to level 9, we have to do field testing. Our field testing is essentially going to be our penetration strategy. And field testing will involve working with the owners of these solar farms and allowing them to have us install our software into their systems for a period of 6 months, absolutely free of charge to them. Now, after these 6 months, we'll enter into what's known as a revenue sharing program, where we'll negotiate a specific percentage, no more than 7%, of the additional revenue provided by our solar tracker. For the first 6 months, they'll keep that revenue. And through our partners at the Florida Solar Energy Center and UCF, we've already secured 50 farms ready to get going with a capacity of 2,500 megawatts. Now, because our technology is a green technology and we'll be helping the government achieve their goal of CO2 reduction, we've been able to secure $3 million in government grants. So we're only asking for $1 million, or 25%, in order to mitigate the risk for you as well as us. And financially speaking, our projections show that we'll be able to maintain a positive cash position across everything, even after that initial R&D and commercialization phase. We mitigate the risk through this, and we'll also only hire as needed in order to further strengthen our cash position. And our projections show that we'll be able to forecast an annual return on your $1 billion investment of 60% over the period of 5 years. And in order to further strengthen our position, we did liquidity projections for our worst, middle, and best case scenario. The worst case scenario being that we only have the farms that we've already secured and no more, that's very unlikely. And you'll see that even in the worst case scenario, after paying the investors back and after paying off all our expenses, we'll still maintain a positive cash position. So you heard me say we own our patent 100%. We have strong partners with the FSEC as well as UCF that have already gotten us customers. We consistently maintain a positive cash position as to mitigate the risk. And we're backed by the Department of Energy. Therefore, we forecast a total return of $485,760 in 5 years. We are less toward the sun, and we invite you to invest in a greener America.
So the revenue share is on the fraction that is only your percentage of improvement, correct?
Correct.
So how much more efficient are you over competitive products?
Well, we're absorbing 2% more than our competitive products. So we're operating at an efficiency of 99%, whereas they're operating at 97%.
What is that? What is that in terms of dollars? What is that 7%? What does that look like?
Well, in terms of dollars, I don't know if you saw it on that slide there. Based on the market that we've already secured, 2,500 megawatts. That's $12.5 million.
Would you say you've already secured that market, so you have signed up a number of these farms already for this?
Yes.
Is the one of the slides said that your software will work with any motorized term for a system, and so no one needs to buy new equipment, you're selling only the software.
We're selling only the software.
Is that segment of the solar market growing or versus fixed systems? Did you find any research along those lines?
Yes, that is a growing segment. And it's growing at an annual rate of about 200% as we speak.
Can you speak about how broad your patent is? I'm curious about the secret sauce. You're taking in some sort of input, intensity coming off the photovoltaic cells, translating that iteratively, you taught me a new word, iteratively adaptive, and then moving it. The moving part of it's not patentable. The calculations might be, but somebody might come up with a similar algorithm. So tell me what the secret sauce is and how broad your patent is.
Well, the secret sauce is where we're reading the input from. Most of the other algorithms, they're reading their input from what's known as the photo tracker. We're reading it from the power tracker. The photo tracker is significantly less, it's not as reliable as ours is. And
Dude, you crushed. Really, really good job.
thank you.
Who are the competitors playing in the moving space? Who else is tilting the photovoltaics?
Well, there's a few other companies. To name a few off the head, we have ExoSun, Solar Trackers, and those are the biggest players right now. But even then, they're still reading off those photo sensors, whereas we're reading from the power sensors, so we're even more efficient than those guys.